There's a spiritual war happening over your home right now, and it's going on all day, every day. And most of the time, you don't even realize it's going on. And it's a large reason why your marriage feels cold, distant, disconnected, and why your home life feels like it can't thrive like you wish it would. And here's the problem. Churches preach weak, shallow, coddling messages that just help you settle in for a sucky ride in life, rather than teaching you how to rise up, get strong, overcome, and be victorious with the authority and the power that Jesus has given you. In this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how hell is trying to steal your marriage right out from under you, and you don't even know that it's happening. Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Man Warrior King podcast. I'm your host, Matt Hallock. I help men learn how to step into the fullness of their identity so that they can go from timid, weak, pain-filled, discouraged husbands to strong, confident, passionate men who are thriving in every area of life. Today, I want to talk to you about the spiritual war that Satan is waging against you, against your wife, against your marriage, and he's doing it in ways that you don't even know about. Because when we think of spiritual battle, spiritual war, sometimes we think of the flashy, more crazy, fantastical ways that demons can sometimes operate, hurtling things across the room, tormenting people in ways that are more exciting. But very often the primary weapon that Satan uses against a man is in ways that are subtle, that can happen for days, months, years, and decades, and you don't even know that he's the one behind it. And if you don't learn this, what's going to happen is that you are going to eventually be taking sides with Satan and actually promoting the downfall of your own life and your own marriage, and you won't even know you're doing it. This is the very definition of deceiving, right? So some of his best tactics are tactics that are so subtle that you're deceived into thinking they're not even tactics of his at all. So tell me if this sounds familiar. You wake up early in the mornings for whatever reason, probably before your alarm even goes off. And, 4 a.m., for some guys, 5 a.m., whatever. And as soon as you wake up, you get hit with these thoughts, these automatic thoughts of how bad the current situation is. Maybe how bad your marriage is, how distant your wife is becoming, how much pain it's causing you to go day after day, night after night without sex and all of that. And so you wake up early in the morning without, it's not your choice, but you do for whatever reason. And your mind immediately goes haywire with all these pain-filled thoughts. And it's like you're lying there in emotional agony. And no matter what you do, you can't get your mind to stop so you can go back to sleep. Can you relate with that? I can. I had that kind of thing going on in my life for years. And it would go stretches of like months at a time of that kind of thing. And the only way I could ever really get myself to fall back asleep is if I would put in an earphone and listen to some kind of sermon or something like that, that would draw my attention away from the just freight train that was running away with my mind. It was torment. It was agony. It happened nearly daily. Can you relate to that? Or maybe, here's another one. Like maybe you, you get up, you go get ready for work, whatever. You are about to go out the door and you go over to your wife and you give her a hug, you kiss her, whatever, and you say, hey, have a good day. And all she does is just look at you with a deadpan look and a forced little tiny smile. She says, have a good day. And that's it. And then as you go into the car and you drive to work and you're at work, that less than even lackluster interaction is just digging itself deeper into the wound all day long. And you're working and you're trying to focus, but this thing is just nagging you in the back of your mind. I know that thousands of guys watching and listening to this episode are able to relate with this. How do I know that? Because I've been here. Okay. I'm not speaking in some amazing, wow, how does Matt know me? I'm speaking because this is a common experience for Christian men, especially, and non-Christian men. Welcome. If you're not a Christian, that's fine. Great. Wonderful. Love you. Glad to have you. But here's the thing. Christian men, I know that we deal with this a lot, and it has a different flavor to it. It has this flavor of God's not helping me anymore. God isn't answering my prayers because he's probably disappointed in me. God's caring more about his other sons than he's caring about me. He's too busy taking care of others. Maybe he has me, he wants me to go through this pain right now for some reason that I don't know. And he's choosing to have me suffer like this. So we can sometimes get those thoughts. But then we have these other thoughts. And those thoughts come at you about your wife and your marriage. I don't think my marriage is ever going to get better. I don't see how it's possible for us to have what we once did when we were first dating. What about my wife is just always cold, shut down. She's frigid. She's mean. There's no way she'll ever like me again. There's no way that she'll respect me again. Thoughts about yourself. I'm a loser. I must suck as a man if my own wife doesn't even like me. If the woman who knows me better than anyone else seems to feel this way towards me, then if everybody else got to know me as well as she would, they'd probably feel the same. I know these things are resonating with you. I've worked with enough guys now to know these are common. So you have these thoughts and they come at you and they grip you. And there's nothing you can do about them. You can't seem to let them get them to go away, right? That's how it all feels. So I want to suggest to you that these thoughts that you think are just a function of your painful situation, they're a function of the dysfunction in your home. And that's it. I want to suggest to you that they are not. See, 1 Peter 5 tells you to be sober-minded, to be watchful, because your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking somebody to devour. So what if this verse is talking about you in the early morning hour when your brain starts running and you can't stop it? What if this verse is talking about you when you're all day at work and you're thinking about that tepid interaction between you and your wife where she showed you almost nothing and the pain is too much to bear and you just keep mulling on it and dwelling on it? What if in those moments the devil is actually devouring you, but you never knew that he was? Because all these thoughts, they sound like they're just yours. But what if they are lies that he's offering to you? What if he's bringing these things to you on a platter and he's saying, here, take a bite of this. It's going to taste amazing. And it will offer you comfort in the middle of your pain. Does that sound a little bit like somebody else who got offered a piece of food by the devil? I think it does. Right? Came to Adam and Eve in particular. Hey, check this fruit out. Why don't you take a bite of it? It'll give you everything you want. And we know that these thoughts of defeat and discouragement aren't going to give us everything we want, but because we've begun to believe that we won't get any of the other things we want, the least we can get is some of this cheap, contaminated comfort that comes from self-pity, discouragement, and defeat. And what if you're playing right into the devil's hands? See, the book of James, it says, look at the ships. Though they are so large and driven by strong winds, they are guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, but it boasts of great things. See, James is telling us that your tongue, which is representing your words, is powerful enough to steer the course of your entire life, though your tongue might be small. He's saying that the words that you adopt, the words you speak, and I would argue the words that you non-verbally or non-auditorily speak in your mind, those are not just neutral. Those words are either for him or against him. They are either in the realm of the kingdom of heaven, or they are promoting the kingdom of hell and its agenda in your life. There is no middle ground. See, the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, says, from the fruit of a man's mouth, his stomach is satisfied. He is satisfied by the yield of his lips. Now, when it says satisfied, it means that you are filled up by the harvest that your words are producing. So your words are like seeds, and they're planting in the ground, and you eat the harvest that comes from those words. So when it says satisfied, it doesn't mean like in a good way, like, oh man, this is incredible, I'm so satisfied. It means that you are satisfying your hunger by eating whatever it is that is available for the harvest. So he's saying, whatever you speak is what you're going to get. And the very next verse of Proverbs 18 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it, meaning the tongue, will eat its fruits. Death and life are in the power of your tongue, of your words. So, what if in those moments, early morning hours, or whatever hours of the day, you're having these thoughts about your wife and your marriage and yourself? What if Satan has come and he's offered these things up to you? Because maybe he doesn't have the ability to come and physically rip you and your wife apart from each other. He probably didn't have the ability to take over any kind of rulership position from Adam and Eve. They had the authority. He did not. God gave them the authority, the jurisdiction over the world. He had stripped Satan of everything after his sin. But so Satan's tactic was not to use force like an enemy country invading and taking over with military strength. His tactic was to use the art of persuasion, the art of diplomacy, where if he could get Adam and Eve to use the power of their authority and give agreement to hell's narrative, then their authority begins to open the door for all kinds of wickedness to come and invade the domain that had been theirs. Because Adam and Eve made an agreement with Satan, they brought in death, sin, sickness, toil, heartache, pain. So these thoughts that you are entertaining, they're not just yours. I guarantee you that. You are a three-part being. You're a spirit, you're a soul, and you're a body. Your spirit was resurrected when you came to Jesus. Your spirit is one with him. Your spirit communes with the Holy Spirit. Your body is obviously your body in this physical world. And so we have the spiritual realm in your spirit. We have the physical realm in your body and your soul. Your soul is where your mind, your will, your emotions lie. And in your soul, in your mind, that your mind is like a portal, like a bridge that connects the spirit realm to the physical realm. So you can either use your mind to connect with the realm of heaven and have heaven be made manifest in your physical life. Like Jesus said, on your will be done, God, on earth as it is in heaven. So your mind, how you think and how you speak, can be portals for heaven to come and invade and resurrect and revive the life around you and the people around you. Or your mind and the words that you speak can be that bridge for Satan and his minions to come walking across, and you have given him permission to start wreaking havoc in your home, in your wife, and in your marriage, because you made agreements with these little fruits that he offered you. Every negative thought that would come and attack your future, that would come and attack your marriage, that would come and attack your wife, is a temptation from hell trying to get you to grab a hold of it. Do you understand this? We're not doing dress rehearsal with our thoughts, gentlemen. We're playing for keeps. This is a serious war. And every time you agree with those things, you yield ground to Satan, and heaven in your life loses a little bit of ground. Am I saying you're losing salvation? No, I'm saying you're losing the experience of the abundant life that Jesus promised was available for you. You want proof that that your thoughts are spiritual war? Classic, 2 Corinthians 10. For though we walk in the flesh, we are not waging war according to the flesh. Because the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but have divine power to destroy strongholds. Strongholds. That sounds an awful lot like Matthew 16 when Jesus is speaking to his disciples and he says, I give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and I'll tell you what. The gates of hell will not prevail against my church. Those gates of hell are those strongholds. And if you yield ground to Satan in your life, you're allowing him a little bit of real estate to set up a stronghold in your mind, in your life, in your marriage, however that works. But here Paul's telling us that you have weapons that have this incredible divine power to tear down strongholds. And then he equates that with this. We destroy strongholds, and next verse, we destroy arguments and every lofty opinion that raises itself up against the knowledge of God. So arguments and opinions are equated with the strongholds of hell in your life. So Satan comes to you and he says, well, look at all of the last 10 years of your marriage. There's the evidence. Do you really think that that's going to change? There's the argument. He presents evidence to make arguments to you, to try to convince you that what his opinion is actually going to be true in your life. And it's raising itself up against the knowledge of God. What is the knowledge of God? The knowledge of God is the entire tome of revelation truth that God has made available to you in his word through the thousands, as Peter says, his very great and precious promises that are available to you. And if you can get a hold of the promises of God rather than the lies of the devil that he's trying to bring to you to tear you to pieces and to tear your marriage apart, but you can get a hold of the promises of God, then it says that you can become a partaker of the divine nature. What is the divine nature? God's nature is joy, harmony, intimacy, connection, pleasure, fun, strength, victory, health, prosperity, faith, all these things. You partake in his nature through his promises. But if your mind is so cluttered and clouded by these negative thoughts all day long, there's no way you can begin to put your faith into God's promises, because you're using it all up on the lies of hell. And Paul finishes this out by saying, so we destroy all these arguments and every opinion that raises itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take every thought captive to obey Jesus, even being ready to punish every disobedience. I don't think he means punish ourselves when we get disobedient. I think he means punishing the disobedient thoughts that are trying to come at you. He's telling you to go punish the enemy. So you've got to take those thoughts captive. That means, no way, I ain't doing that game anymore. So the question, my friend, is how? If there is this massive war raging in your life right now, how do you make a change? How do you make changes so that you can begin to win the war, and so that heaven can begin to win the battle against hell in your life? And the forces of heaven, the angels, the Holy Spirit himself, Jesus himself, you start to see the atmosphere created by all of what God has to offer you become real in your life. How do you get there? Especially if you're waking up and you can't even help but have your mind race with this stuff. It's like it's not even a fair fight. Somehow you feel like you're yielding to it and giving your agreement to hell, but there's nothing you can even do to stop it. So it doesn't seem fair. I don't want any of these thoughts to torment me, God, and yet they are, and I feel like I'm feeding them every time they do torment me. And I'll tell you, it's not fair. Satan doesn't play fair. The Bible never says that he would play fair. It never says that he would go easy on you. So no, it's not fair. But the weapons of our warfare apparently are mighty in God for pulling down strongholds. Apparently, you're more than a conqueror. Apparently, you can do all things through Christ who gives you the strength to do all things. And I would argue that what I'm talking about is very much the same as when Paul writes that a messenger of Satan was sent to torment him, to harass him, to buffet him. That means to repeatedly punch him and pummel him, taking blow after blow from these messengers of Satan, bringing the narrative of hell to his life. And he's saying, God, please take this away. Please stop this. And God's like, Paul, that is not how you win this one. No, I am not just going to do this work for you and take it away. But I'll tell you what, Paul, my grace inside of you is sufficient for the job right now. So you, Paul, you need to learn how to overcome these enemies with the grace I've already given you. You need to learn how to send the enemy running with the power of God that's residing on the inside of you. You need to learn how to stand up in your authority and take your life back from the grip of hell that he's been slowly tightening and tightening with every new lie he offers you. So how do you do it? Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to start winning this war, you're going to have to put in some training time when the battle isn't quite so heavy and raging. So if you're not going to do any work to win the war until those thoughts come ravage you in the middle of the night, you're in a losing game plan. You're going to have to build a habit of a discipline of putting into your mind new thoughts. You're going to have to build a discipline of speaking out different words over your wife when the heat isn't quite so intense, so that when the heat does get cranked up, you've been conditioning yourself to respond differently than you used to in the past. Don't wait till the battle hits your doorstep to start lifting weights. You got to lift weights years in advance. So instead of constantly talking to yourself about how your wife is so cold and frigid, because what if your words are actually making her more that way? Even if she doesn't even hear your words, even if they're just thoughts in your head, what if those thoughts are making her more that way? Because you, whether you like it or not, and whether all the pastors out there who are the heretic police like it or not, you, my friend, are the prophet over your life. You are the prophet over your marriage. God has given you authority, Romans 5:17, to reign with him in life. We've already seen the power of your words. You are the Ezekiel where God's saying, my son, command these dry bones to come back to life. But what you've been doing is you've been proclaiming how dead they are. What if you started saying to yourself and thinking, and you started praying, God, thank you that my wife, even though she might be in a lot of pain right now, that she is a good and soft and kind woman. Thank you that my wife is sensual and desires me, even if she doesn't know it at the moment. Thank you that the future of our marriage is closer and more connected than it's ever been. I tell you, my friends, I did this when it didn't look true. And you've got to make a decision to conquer that self-pity that's trying to get you to sit there and wallow in all of your pain and your defeat. And you've got to start standing on your feet and fighting back, even if it's just in your mind. And not enough churches teach us this. They just teach us when your life sucks, find comfort in God. I'm sorry, but your life sucking isn't what he wrote into it. When your life sucks, learn God's ways of overcoming and winning this thing. I want this for you. I want you to learn how to put new words in your mouth. I want you to speak differently over your future and over your marriage. I want you to speak differently over yourself. Because here's the thing. You want to know what your words can do. Your words enable miracles. When Jesus was walking on the water, right? And they see him out in the distance and they're like, oh my gosh, it's a ghost. And then Peter calls out, Jesus, if that's you, then tell me this. Use your words and command me to step out onto the water. Peter didn't say, magically make me float on top of the water. He said, tell me to do it. Because he knew something that we don't. It was that if the Lord spoke a word, it made the thing possible. But so Jesus says, yeah, Peter, come to me. And all of a sudden it made reality bend to the will of his words. And Peter obeys and he steps out and he walks on top of the water. Now you're like, but yeah, that's Jesus. It's not us. His words can do that, not mine. Jesus said it's really, really good that a servant be like his master and a student be like his teacher. He said, just as the Father sent me into the world, so do I send you in the same exact way. He said, the miracles that I do, you're going to do even greater ones than these. So don't tell yourself, oh, that's only Jesus. That's not true. Jesus was the prototype modeling what real faith looks like and inviting you and I to join him. So you get your words into alignment and you can see your marriage begin to walk on water. I guarantee it. So here's what I want you to do. First of all, I want you to go to the link in the show notes, and I want you to pick up my book, The DNA of a Man. It's going to change your life. Just got an email from a guy the other day saying that he bought a whole bunch for take guys through in his church, and it was fantastic. I want you to pick up The DNA of a Man. And if you really want to go for it, I want you to get the workbook that goes with it as well. Okay. Then this one's free. I want you to hit the other link and go check out the Frustrated to Desired free training. That's going to teach you the 5 kingdom keys for a man to become more masculine and attractive to his wife so that the marriage can stop drifting and start being drawn together. And then if you really want it, I want you to choose to click the link in the description to get on my calendar so you and I can talk about working one-on-one together. It's the biggest investment of all, but you get the absolute biggest bang for your buck. You get such intense and very often rapid life change that happens. I mean it, guys. I want to help you with this. And aside from all of that, here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn off this video right now. I want you to close your computer, set down your phone, whatever it is. And I want you to just pray to God, Lord, I am so sorry that I've been fighting this battle on behalf of Satan, and I've been agreeing with him, and I've been proclaiming death over my wife, over my marriage, and over myself. I want you to repent for this thing completely. And I want you to say, Father, I will do that no longer. And I thank you that you've written a bright future for me and you give me victory, even though I don't know how yet. I know it's mine, and I know you're going to teach me how. I love you, gentlemen. I'll see you next time.